Nowadays, there's just an abundance of different text messaging devices to choose from, whether it be a full QWERTY keyboard to a slide-out swivel design, or even some touchscreen phones. There are plenty just to choose from, and very few actually use the form factor that's found on the BlackBerry Pearl with its half QWERTY design. But the Samsung T349 is a basic handset that uses that type of form factor, and also is just very simple and easy to use. Now, the first time you actually hold the T349 in your hand, it's a very plasticky device. We did like how it uses the lime green color with the silver to give it a really good contrast. Also on the back has this unique pattern design to give it some sort of fashionable appeal to it. It's very lightweight, very thin, and the candy bar form factor makes sense with the half QWERTY design. We like the materials that they use. It feels quite solid, but it does kind of look like a child's toy from far. The first thing you'll notice on the T349 is the screen on the front. It's pretty large for this type of device, but unfortunately viewing it in direct sunlight became to be a pain, especially with the poor viewing angles. When you tilt it left or right, you kind of lose focus on what's on screen. The navigation buttons and directional pad are quite tactile. Some of them are raised, but the rest are usually flush. We didn't have any problems even hitting the middle button for the selection key. The biggest thing about the phone is, of course, the half QWERTY design. It's a 4-row keyboard with only 3 different buttons that are dedicated, which are the alternate, the enter, and the delete. And surprisingly, it does give a great tactile feel with every single button you press. Very well spaced and slightly raised to really give you a real button feel to it. So we did like that aspect of it. And on the side, you have your micro SD card slot, your volume rocker. On the other, you have your dedicated camera button and your proprietary charging port. And on the back, you have the 1.3 megapixel camera. And of course, when you remove the back plating, it'll give you the battery and also SIM card slot underneath. Now, we were surprised by the software on the Samsung T349. It's really simple, very easy to navigate, and also has some depth to it as well. On the home screen, you have your My Favorites. You could choose them. You could select each one, call each one, do whatever you want. If you choose not to have it, you could just hit the End key, and automatically will just display the wallpaper. The main menu is really simple. There's only 5 different there's this 5 set of rotating icons. From people to check out your contacts, your messaging, whether it be text, picture, or IM, your media features from taking photos, viewing videos, and also going to the web, and also settings just to change any options. And finally, you have your organizer, which is used for your calendars, alarms, and other tools. But it's really simple, very basic, and it really doesn't have too many of the sub-menus that you see on most phones. Now, this phone doesn't have just a good messaging features. It has great messaging features. For starters, just creating messages are pretty simple, whether it be text messaging or even doing a picture messaging. Pretty simple once you master the T9 predictive text. There's even an option to quickly make an audio postcard, which is basically an MMS, but has the theme of a postcard to send someone else. And of course, your email. It's a great email tool. You could choose from the pre-selected accounts, whether it be from Yahoo, AOL, or even some other common ones like Gmail. And if yours is not on here, you could check off other address, and you could type in your own, whether it be a specific mail client. It might ask you for the incoming servers, but it's great that you could use just about any mail provider out there. The other messaging tools is the IM, which you could choose from AIM, Windows Live, or Yahoo. Unfortunately, though, you can only be signed on at one time. That's about it with the messaging features, but it has pretty good depth with it. Now, the phone might not be the best thing to actually view websites, but it does it pretty well. At least it'll be able to load up more complex websites like ours. It's a non-3G device, so expect long load times. But once a page is loaded, it renders it pretty well. At first, the zoom view is a little bit small, but you could actually change that to view, closer to the screen. But scrolling wasn't a problem at all, whether it be using the D-pad or the volume rocker. So it does work. It's a decent mobile experience, but we're just surprised it actually loads up most complex websites. Although the phone is geared towards its touted for its messaging capabilities, we were equally impressed also by its phone call quality. For starters, the single speaker on the front is used for everything from making phone calls, speakerphone, listening to music. It's very vibrant and also distinct. Even when we place it in the highest settings, we didn't hear any crackling whatsoever. And just as we said, using the phone for that feature, just for making phone calls, it did a superb job. We were able to listen to our callers; they could hear us well, and even when no one said anything, when there's dead silence in the air, we couldn't really tell if the person hung up or they weren't saying anything because there's barely any background noise. On top of that was the battery life we managed to get out of the phone. We managed to get roughly 7 days before the battery died out. But on top of just being, its great messaging features, we were just blown away by its phone quality settings. For some people out there, they might not even choose to go with a phone that has a half-QWERTY design. Some people are just scared off by it, but if you're like me who mastered the T9 predictive texting, you'll fit in right in with this device. Even at times, you'll probably be able to send messages faster. On top of that, with its great messaging capabilities, for example, the email client that's used on here, it's very, very well balanced phone, whether it be the messaging aspects, to its ability to check out specific and complex websites, to even its phone call quality. The T349 does a great job of being both a well-rounded device.